This is part 8 of a 10-part series on why the Shohei Ohtani signing is bad for baseball. If the Dodgers want to assemble the most dominant team possible through the artifice of deferred salaries, a tactic that enables them to mitigate the built-in risks and accompanying costs that the other teams have to contend with, the Dodgers should become a touring club, like the Harlem Globetrotters. This Dodger collection of deferred salaries can then give exhibitions around the world, because a team assembled in their fashion does not belong in a competitive league, where some semblance of parity is the ideal. If, however, the Dodger organization wants to chance their skill and longevity while competing in a competitive league, then they can't evade the luxury tax by deferring salaries to the next decade. There is no time travel in baseball. Why should the Orioles, who have had to survive bad contracts and many long seasons of recovery, have to compete for a world championship against a team that procured their spot in the playoffs through millions and millions of deferred dollars? The same is true of Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, and even the big market Los Angeles Angels, a team that seems to abide by the rules and the spirit of the rules. But the Dodgers want to have their cake and eat it too. Get all the best free agents and sign them to deferred contracts that won't be due for another decade. The risk to this current team of Dodgers and its front office and its owners is like the risk to our environment. The great downside won't happen during our lifetime. The Dodgers have turned free agency into the equivalent of shopping for Rembrandts in a dollar store. How many purchases will the Dodgers make in this manner during the next 10 years? Let the Dodgers take the risks and pay the cost that San Diego is incurring. Let the Dodgers face a window of opportunity that might coexist with their current players' careers. If not that, then organized baseball doesn't need the Dodgers. Money spent in 2034 is infinite. It's a different operating system. The Dodgers know this. Try to attend a Dodgers game and defer your admission costs to 2034. I don't think you'll get in. Yes, Mookie, some things in the pursuit of winning are palpably wrong, beginning with the Dodgers fielding a team with money that isn't actually theirs, actually belongs to the small market teams that make up their competitors. Mookie, let me ask, do all your deferred contracts not force all the other teams to compete against a stacked deck? Isn't that what we have when the three Dodgers superstars use their substantially deferred contracts as part of the incentive to lure and afford other star players onto the team? Judged by his comment, I'd say Mookie is experiencing a bully's joy. Unlike the 1919 White Sox players who fixed the World Series for money, these modern-day star ball players don't have that financial concern. They're already millionaires, many times over. Today's greed has turned into a different direction, a greed for glory. Unlike football, which seems to have found an equitable solution, baseball has always favored the richer teams. But before, there were limitations. With the luxury tax, rich teams had to pay for their payroll largesse. The gluttonous misuse of the deferred contract has changed that. As stated earlier, the deferred contract is understandable for a small market team that isn't going to challenge the salary cap threshold anyway. But what the Dodgers and Ohtani and Freeman and Betts have done is different. It's pursuing championships and glory through means that are available to virtually no other team. The Dodgers are willing and able to defer contracts well into the future. The Dodgers have uncovered megastar players who are willing to go along. Does your team have this superpower? Suppose the Dodgers don't win the 2024 World Series, or even if they do, and at year's end the top two or three free agents on the market agree to defer significant sums of money into the future and they sign with the Dodgers. Is it unfair then? Hasn't this year already exceeded the limits? Ohtani and Freeman and Betts and the Dodgers are being financed in part by your team's money. Isn't this collusion between players and management as pernicious to baseball's championship season as the collusion between players and gamblers some 100 years ago? Incidentally, even if they don't defer their contract and the top free agents sign with the Dodgers anyway, it was the contracts of Ohtani, Freeman, and Betts that made these full price contracts possible. Baseball has a reputation for acting decisively to protect the integrity of the game. Look at the stories of Pete Rose and Fernando Tatis Jr. Also think Alex Rodriguez. A-Rod was suspended from baseball for an entire year for steroid use. Some observers felt that baseball went out of its way to pursue and punish this particular player who was also threatening to become the GOAT. The suspension prevented A-Rod from reaching a number of important career milestones, most notably the 700 home run club. Look at Barry Bonds, another player considered by many to be the GOAT. Look at what a fearsome hitter Bonds was in his last season and explain to me why no team would sign him to a contract the following year. What might have Bonds' unhindered legacy ultimately become? Baseball does unspoken things for the good of the game, even to the mighty. That said, what would have to happen for baseball to recognize how greatly fair competition can be compromised by white-collar crime? This ends blog number 8. The 9th blog will discuss how these deferred contracts impact on the integrity of the game. Also, I will make a radical proposal that could bring parity to the game, despite all the Dodgers' deferred contracts.